All right. Yes, I am live. I'm live doing something I don't do very often. It's a Saturday night. It's Saturday night, kids. I am up. I had a busy day today. This is Daytime Today live tonight. I don't have a night program, so Daytime Today can encompass nighttime too. I did a show yesterday that I had to unlist and not show. So I'm actually coming on to talk, to have a show in its place, so to speak. I have no idea if anybody's going to come on or not. So I'm just going to just start talking. And if you come in, great. Chat room is open. It is Saturday night at 7:48. Spring is coming up tomorrow, Sunday, the soap block. So YNR B&B GH happening here on JLJ Media. 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., all Pacific Standard Time tomorrow live here on JLJ Media. So subscribe to the channel and you'll know what's going on. We're going to recap all three shows. YNR and Bone Beautiful are only on 3 times this week because of March Madness. So you weren't missing anything, like you weren't like missing episodes. There were 3 episodes. So we'll talk about those 3 episodes on both shows and the 5 episodes on General Hospital. Now, some of you were present or not present or were on my show last night, Extra Connections, which we're doing race talk on there. And it got very heated. I got triggered by one of my co-hosts. It was a big thing. And some people were asking about where it is. The episode is brought down, not because I'm trying to censor myself, but I'm trying to see what the other person feels not as strongly about having the episode out. So I'm working that out with that person right now. So the episode is not out right now. It may go out later, it may not, who knows. But it brings me to this. Race is a difficult subject. Sexuality is a difficult subject to talk about. Gender is difficult to talk about. It's like those are 3 things that right now are highly charged, highly emotional, and very personal issues. There are laws right now attacking women's reproductive rights. There are transgender people being killed. There are issues on media for people of color. Like there's all kinds of stuff going on and concerning all of those issues. And I will continue having these discussions on these shows because that's just my life. I'm going to, because I deal with them every day. And I refuse to be shut down or not be able to talk about it. And I will always stand up for myself. I talked about race on soaps several times on Daytime Today last week, and I got comments. And I think people, and I respond to a few of them, but I want to talk about the one here with you. You know, I'm trying to see how I can say this. People kept bringing up, well, so-and-so's Latino real life, or so-and-so's this, or so-and-so's mother was this, so-and-so's this. I think maybe the point was lost, maybe it wasn't lost. So you just want to just bring up these things and try to disprove what I'm saying. Representation of people of color other than white on soap operas is not equal. That's just bottom line. It's not equal. There's no equity in it. It's not even. It is completely lopsided. That's just a fact. It's not me trying to start something. It just is. It's mostly white folks and then everybody else. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. That's how it is. And that's probably how it's going to be. That's the fact. Some of us bring up issues that we have or bring attention to things because we see it. And one of the characters people kept bringing up to me was Maurice Bernard. That's an actor, Maurice Bernard. Wherever Maurice Bernard is in his personal life is not being portrayed on the soap, General Hospital. On the soap opera, he is playing part of this mobster, and no cultural anything is being played. Like I said, he marries mostly white women, has kids with white women, His first wife, Lily, was Latina. Brenda, who in real life, Melissa Marcel, I believe, was half Latina, didn't play Latina on the show. She played Brenda Barrett. She just played Brenda. Again, no cultural anything, no cultural last name, nothing. So I just say, so my point was that on the show, and I go, I think his mother was Puerto Rican or whatever. She was never on the show. She was referenced, just like his stepfather, Deke. They were Della and Deke. They were referenced. They were not characters on the show. And even they did a flashback or two on them, which I don't think they did. They could have, I don't remember. Sonny does not play that. He doesn't. They don't play any race things on there. So I think people need to, what the point I was trying to make is on screen, where there clearly are this certain culture or race, and it's represented on screen. On Passions, there was the Lopez Fitzgeralds. They were half Irish, half Mexican, and they portrayed that. On Young and the Restless, there was the Rosales family. They're all gone except for Ray. But when they were together, they portrayed that. Ray, we just know he's playing Latino, doesn't really do anything Latino either, because his family's gone. Eva LaRue came on the show, who was part Latina. She was wonderful. I thought her and Jack had chemistry. They didn't go with it. And when I talked to her, she felt the same way. But they chose to go in a different direction. Right now, they're going with the Asian storyline, which is even less on soaps. So I'm very happy, good. And tomorrow I'll tell you what my feelings are about the storyline. My somewhat review is that wonderful work between Kelsey Wang and Peter Bergman this week on Y&R. I'll go into detail tomorrow. But again, it's about Asians. We got Selena Wu back. We got girl Lydia Look. We got Tina Wang, who reoccurs as a D.A. Trask on Days. But they killed Haley. Of all the folks they could have killed, they killed the Asian character. And and again, when I bring these things up, not trying to bring it up as like they're trying to be racist, these shows. I just find it very interesting. And optics-wise, it looks suspicious. It could, and I say many times, it's just unconscious. It's just we have this idea. We go for a storyline. JJ has a girlfriend, and we're going to kill her, throw her down the stairs. I always just think if you stop just for a second and go, okay, that's an interesting storyline, but you have no other Asian people on the show. Maybe you should go to somebody else. I always just think there should be some kind of just thought that you have like a huge amount of cast members. So the one Asian you're going to kill off. You have all these cast members, and the gays are the ones you're moving out of Salem. You know what I mean? I just think I don't know what that is. Again, I'm not saying I'm not accusing anybody of anything on these shows, but it just looks very suspicious to me when that happens. When you look at the opening sequences of all the shows, General Hospital, Sean's leaving. They got a bunch of black folks on that show, so they're scattered around. But even half of them are just kind of like TJ, in and out. Felix, in and out. Curtis's major storyline. Now Jordan and Portia, that's kind of doing their thing. We just think we finally got Phyllis one day this week. Like barely got her. Epiphany is recurring. We don't see her. When I say reoccurring, I don't try to under contract. I'm just saying on the show. Bold and the Beautiful had a ton. of Black folks, Black families, several times over. Where are they? Well, now we got just Paris and Grace, her mother. We got Carter. We haven't seen Mr. Aaron D. Spears in a long time. Just very interesting. So Paige turns out, but see, Paige didn't play again on screen. Everybody's bringing up people who they on screen. Paige did not play Latino or half Latino. They didn't mention that. She didn't mention that at all. She came on as Eve's daughter, a white woman. It was revealed after she died that she was what's his name's daughter. Rafe and Gabby, there is some Spanish in there, and they're Hernandez, totally there. Camila Banderas is like the only lead female Latina actress on soaps. So Crystal Bush, explain when you say Phyllis and Epiphany don't count. Please explain what that means. I don't know what that is. I just don't know what that means. So I'm saying on these shows, do they portray them with culture and race? Do they feature them on the shows? Now, I understand there are leads, there's supporting, and there's reoccurring. But again, it's not even. It's not. There's nothing even about it. It just isn't. And that's all I was kind of talking about. I was saying there were situations where shows did focus, like I said, Jesse and Angie on All My Children were the first Black super couple. Back in Wanting to Live, back in the late 60s, early 70s, there was Ellen Holly and Al Freeman Jr. and the whole passing story. She passed for white. Carla, she passed for white. Then it found she was Black. Amazing story, way ahead of its time. But that was back in the late 60s, early 70s. Al Freeman Jr. is one. Just want you guys know this. Soap's been around for 80 years or whatever. One of 4 people of color who have won a Best Actor Daytime Emmy. Let that sit for a minute. James Reynolds, A. Martinez, Al Freeman Jr., and Darnell. Oh my God, Darnell Williams. That's it. I just said A. Martinez is Cruz. Yes, on Santa Barbara. He was a lead. Okay, I just wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure what you were. I wasn't sure what you were saying because I was listing people, and it popped up when I was listing people. Going, well, they're Black. They count on the show, but no, I see what you're saying. Cruz was a major storyline. Cruz Castillo, him and Eden were a huge story. Yeah, but okay. So Sandy Maxey, I will respond to that too. Renee Elise Goldsberry is a star because of Hamilton. She's not a star because of Wanting to Live. She was on there, and she didn't win any Emmys. She was on there. Wasn't a huge star in daytime. They gave her some storylines, but I see her, the guy who played RJ, the guy who played Hank and Nora and all that story. They had some storylines. Yes. Kevin Mambo and Monty Sharp both won Emmys in supporting actor, not lead actor at all, supporting actor. They won a couple of times and then went away. They were on for a little bit and went away. Yes, Guiding Light had the Boudreaux family for a minute. I mean, yes, there are supporting actor and younger actor winners of Emmys, but I'm talking lead actor. There are no Black people who've ever won. I did say lead, Sandy. You just didn't hear me. I said lead. I said 4 people have only won lead. I actually enunciated. When you watch this later, you'll see I said that. I enunciated it carefully that 4 people have only won lead actor daytime Emmy. And for female, There are no people of color who have ever won lead actress in a daytime drama. Now think about that for a second. I just mentioned Rafe on, maybe you came in late. I just mentioned Rafe and Gabby on Days of Our Lives. The Hernandezes. I mentioned them. And Galen Gary, of course, was on Passions, what I mentioned earlier also. I mentioned that also. The Lopez Fitzgeralds on Passions were a major family. Yes, and I mentioned the crew. I mentioned A. Martinez and the Castillo family on that show. I mentioned that also. There was, now on Why to Live, you could say Antonio and his brother both were very popular. They were popular on Why to Live. They had multiple storylines, and they were very Hispanic. And their mother, I forgot, Sandra Santiago played their mother. They played, but again, they were still under supporting. They supported. Yeah, there were nominations for women of color. Yeah, they didn't win. Very few nominations for women of color, but there have been a few. They have not won. None. I'm just saying, just think about that for a second. Just like really think about that. That's kind of thing. You know, okay, that's well, there you go. He did his job. But you know, he was somebody who was in a lot of story. Antonio was in a lot of story. But I'm saying, but still, you never won anything. And he was almost supporting some of the white characters actually. If you think about it, Jessica, Natalie, all that stuff, they were the center. Vicky and her family, the Kramers, those were the centers. Buchanan's. On Guiding Light, they brought in Ricky Paul Golden and made him, Gus Itura made him a Spalding. I'll give him points. He had some lead work. I believe he was nominated. I believe he had some lead work on there. So that's another great example. Debbie Morgan won for supporting, and she had a tie the year she won. LaToya, she won and tied with Nancy Lee Grant, who played Julia Rainwright on Santa Barbara. So Debbie Morgan won an Emmy and wasn't even on her own. She had to share the spotlight. As a white person. Well, I'll explain to you why that. Leo Lepris, I think you already know the answer. You already know the answer to that. This is my opinion. I love this discussion, you guys. I love this discussion. In my opinion, when you're because I'm of mixed race descent myself. So when you're biracial, the majority of the world sees you, the race that you look like the most, that identify the most. And that's usually the non-white part. That's usually the non-white part. I don't know what Ricky Paul Golden is in real life. I have no idea if he's Latino in real life. Or he played Italian. Maybe he's Italian on Guiding Light. But either way, they added. I would have sworn his mother was Latino on the show. But anyway, that's another story. But they see you as not white. That's kind of how that looks. And for many folks believe that white people don't have a collective culture. There are several cultures within white cultures. And so with Black and Hispanic and sometimes with Asian, we're collected together through shared trauma and experience. So that's why most of the time, it's if you are biracial, they usually go by the non-Black side. I mean, who knows? I mean, one day maybe they will change. I have no idea if that's going to change. That's gonna be actually up to white folks. You know, so like I said, so I'm just saying when I bring these things up on soaps, I'm just like talking, just like, okay, this is what soap opera, this is what they show you. This is what they're showing you. You know, and yeah, exactly. Robin and Brooks are on last show, and see, it goes back to, like I said on another show, Linda Carter is Hispanic. She played Wonder Woman in the 70s. They didn't play that. We didn't know that until after Wonder Woman was off the air that she was half Hispanic. Now I look at her and I go, okay, now I see the hips. I see some traits that I can see in there. She's just a dark haired beauty. Linda Ronstadt is half Mexican. All through the 70s and part of the 80s, she was a white girl singing folk and rock music. Then she did Canciones de mi Padre and was like, oh, her father's Mexican and she can sing and speak Spanish. She wasn't portrayed that way in the 70s. Finally, when she had enough cachet and was a huge star, and I love Linda Ronstadt, and she was a huge star, then we learned she's half Hispanic. And that's what we're finding out with some of the people you're mentioning. We kind of know this off camera or not know that they're Hispanic, they're this, that. But on the show, Robin was born to two white folks. You know, and Brenda was Brenda Barrett. You know, she was rich. Her sister Julia Barrett. Her sister Julia was, you know. On All My Children, they had Marcus Rails's family. That family had oh my God. What my guys think is it's Haley and Mateo. They had Mateo, they had Julia, they had that whole family. Yes. They had that whole family. Now, what's interesting, each of those folks were in interracial relationships. Sidney Penny was opposite big old Noel Hamilton Cobb, who was Black. Maria was always with either Edmund or somebody on that. I mean, she even married Edmund in real life, the guy who played Edmund in real life. And Mateo married Haley. I mentioned okay, you came on later. I'm sorry you came on later. The Santos family, thank you. You came on later. I mentioned that's how it started. People keep bringing up Sonny to me. Sonny does not play Latina. He owns an island in Puerto Rico at some point. He never speaks Spanish. Not saying he has to speak Spanish. When they start attacking me, never speak Spanish to be Latino, but there's nothing on his walls of any kind of art. He never mentions it. We've never seen his mother. His father, Mike Corbin, isn't Latino. Mike's a white dude, a regular old white dude from New York. His half sister Courtney was white. Lily was his first wife, who was Latina. The rest of them, everybody seems to be white. Alexis, Ava, Carly, Kate, Connie, Kate, Connie, Olivia. They're all white. There's no mention. All his kids look white. There's no mention of any kind of Latino culture in any of them. Yes, Days right now has several. We've always had Abe. Abe was always in there. They had Lexi. There are two mainstays. Then they had reoccurring characters. Some of Abe's brothers came to town. Celeste was in town off and on. They had some people here and there. You know, they have Paulina. They have. I want to say Raven. They have Chanel. Okay, so they had a fight. And how many years ago was that, Sandy Maxey? Like I said, his first wife he married, Lily, was also Latina. But everybody wants to bring up Sonny for some reason, like he's this great Latino superstar. He's not. He's not portrayed that way at all. So they had a fight in Spanish. Okay, that was in the 90s. So, okay, so you say Morgan did not look white. He did to me. Ryan Craig's his name in real life. Look white to me. I don't know what he looked like to you. I know you guys are really just dying on this. You guys are really dying on this hill. I'm done talking about Sunny. I'm gonna stop talking about Sunny now because apparently you're not getting what I'm saying. So I'm just gonna stop talking about Sunny. Because apparently that's why I came on tonight, because apparently the Sunny thing is what's making people just like itchy. I'm like, if you think Sunny's portraying Latinos, he's doing all this stuff, then I'll let you have it. You can totally have it. Sure, okay. His kids they look Hispanic. Okay, got it. Their mothers are white, and to me they just have dark hair. But okay, if you guys think so, then I'm gonna let you guys have it. I will totally disagree with you guys, but since everybody thinks Sunny is this Hispanic Latino thing, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna let it go. So I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I'm done talking about it. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. People are attacking on Y&R baby Dominic, and I said if he is Devon's son, Devon portrays biracial. So biracial and white woman together, Mariah together, then Dominic's skin color is completely possible. Folks were like really scrutinizing this baby's skin color. And I was like, but first of all, Black people come in every shade and size. They come in every shade. Yeah, I have brothers and sisters who look white, and I had a brother who looked totally Black. And they were totally, both sides. But and two Black folks can have a light-skinned baby. Let's get that out there also too. So I know people who are not mixed race, or are all mixed up in some little rite and path, but they're not directly mixed race. Just happens their parents are darker, or one parent's dark, one parent's lighter, and the kid came out dark or came out light. That's just not. I mean, genetics are the craziest thing. I'm 44% white when it comes to my genetics. I mean, look at Victoria Rowell. She has a daughter named Maya, blonde hair, blue eyed, and people were like, "That's not her daughter. That's her daughter. She looks like her. That's her daughter." Persia White from Girlfriends, who's mixed race, had a daughter who looks completely white. I have blonde hair, blue-eyed grandchildren. And people are just like, what? I mean, it's like people don't understand. We mix the races, all kinds of things happen generation after generation after generation. But I was like, Devon's family, he's mixed race. And he's light-skinned himself. So Dominic could have came out dark. He could have came out light, could have done anything. But people were there was so much on this thing about his, I'm like, no, the baby looks fine. I guess they were afraid to look too white. But also, and you guys who've had babies know this. Babies change the first few years also. I had a grandson who was, we called it towhead. He had totally white hair, basically, kind of white blondish hair. Well, it's gone now. It's gone now. It's gone. So at O'Brien, who's multiracial, same thing. The family's on TikTok. I follow a lot of mixed race families on TikTok. There's a lot of just, I mean, my daughters are very light skinned because of their mothers, because of my family background, back wherever. So I know that I can appreciate at first you're checking to see, is that a white baby or not? I get that part. For some people, there's kind of, is that a white baby portraying this mixed race? But I'm telling you, when I saw the baby, I was like, oh no, it's. I believe the babies playing the baby are mixed race. So I don't know for sure. So I was like, no, I think it's kosher. I think it's fine. So I think everybody. So that's my point there, is that then sometimes you look at stuff and go a little. It's like, okay, it's a little too on, But you have to remember again, and Hispanics, same thing, come in every shade and size. There's Afro Latino, there's European Latino. Like people forget, people in Spain are considered Europeans. A lot of them are blonde hair, blue eyed. Go to Brazil, you'll find, I mean, Brazilians, they come from everything. You got gray eyes and dark skin and blonde hair. They have that down there too. So I think it's just kind of like, so my points usually just are, I'm just bringing up what I see, and just kind of almost kind of calling out which ones who are kind of doing it nicely and others that aren't. Someone here brought up Bold and Beautiful. Love the show, love the producer, love right behind the scenes. But they had the Avants, they're gone. They had the next group, they're gone. They had back in the day, they had Daisy, and she's a Forrester, gone. Rick and Maya, gone. Anybody with black, it was gone. Justin, gone. You know, so I think it's just very interesting to me. I don't know what that means, but they have invested in Carter, and Lawrence and Victor writes for the show. They've invested in him. They're investing in Paris. They brought on Grace. Zende is there. He's a Forrester. He's there. He's there. So they're doing a little bit, but again, most of the leads are white. And again, I'll go back to, they have no gay people on the show. It's a fashion industry, and you don't have one LGBTQIA plus person. Not one, not one, not one. Everyone. I think that's interesting. Day seems to breed, it's very, a long time ago, there was a Hispanic guy involved. He's gone, right? He's gone. I'm just saying, the big thing, it's not, that's what he had. Zende's last name is Zende Forster Dominguez, Kristen's husband. Yeah, Lorenzo, yeah, I think there you go. You got it. He's gone. He's not there. I just, the thing is, I think not a lot of African Americans watch soap operas. There's been proof of that in all these years. A lot of African Americans, they watch soap operas. They view them. They watch them. They're serious, and I think it's just the norm. I don't think it's anything to do with dollars or cents or anything. I think it's just no one's thinking about it. I just really don't. I just really don't. I think sometimes they think they have to make it super black or super Hispanic, and I'm like, nah, I don't need to do that. You don't need to do that either. But I'm just like, give me a last name that sounds Hispanic. Give me a situation. Give me some wall art or something. Do something. Give me a little something. I have African American art all over my house. I remember Cosby. I know he's a tough subject, but Cosby had African American art on his walls. He had jazz music playing in the background. Like, there's things you can do. You kind of. They don't care, James. That's the point. You can't make your voices heard. They don't care. I've said it on the show many times. No, the networks care. They don't care. They don't care. The only thing you can do is just not tune in at all, and it gets down to 0 rating, which that's not going to happen. Folks are not going to do that. But nah, it's not. It just is what it is. That's what I say. I think in this situation, I guess I always say in Hollywood, the color is green. That's the color. If they think they can make money, they'll go there. But that's more when it comes to primetime shows and movies. They'll go that direction. But when it comes to soaps, there's only 4 left, kids. It's only 4. And yes, Crystal, there are a lot of African Americans who support soap operas, especially Young and the Restless, especially Days of Our Lives. Huge African American fan bases for like 100 years. That is known. I just think it's normal. We just don't think about it. You just don't think about it. It's just every once in a while they'll put it in, And yes, Trina and Paris are Black women. And here's the thing too. I totally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for mixed race. I wouldn't be here. I have no problem with that. But sometimes, okay, like I said, seeing Curtis and Portia on GH, Black on Black love, I love it. Seeing Lonnie um and my buddy Lamont Archie on Days, Eli, seeing Black on Black love is also very important. It's like we see interracial also. We see gay, interracial, we see all of that. But also just a regular good old fashioned Black on Black love, we do need that also to show people that it's just normal. And I said, I don't need you coming out here, shucking and jiving and doing some coonery dance. I don't need all that. I just mean like, just show something. In the networks, James, I will agree with you. There are some Black writers on some of these soaps. I acknowledge that there are some. My friend Lauren St. Victor is one of both. There are some. But I think the answer to networks, the soaps are always on the verge of being canceled, it seems like, because it's just not the same as it used to be. The numbers aren't there. But so there are some writers. Jamie Giddens is writing some stuff on Days of Our Lives. So there are some out there. Michelle Valjean, a few of them, they're out there. They're doing some stuff. There are a few. But again, it's lopsided. Again, it is. Like right now, they brought Jordan back. I would love to see a Black triangle on a soap opera. We haven't seen that in a long time. Why not? Give them the full story. Give them all the same stuff you give everybody else. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for. That's it. And see, Sidney Michaela, who I did a show on recently, who just left as Trina, was wonderful. She was a wonderful actress who happened to be Black. Yes, Vanessa Antoine, my friend, who was the original Jordan, who's now the star of Dickstown, one of the first, again, in Canada, one of the first African-American females to lead a drama ever in history. And Canada's supposed to be like the not as racial as we are here, but she's the first. It was like 2020 or 2018, whenever she left. It was 20, like, what? And when I got in trouble, and I still stand by it, I don't care. I did a show on recasts. And it pisses me the F off when they don't put effort into recasting when it comes to Black folks. When it comes to white folks, Asian, they always try to find somebody similar to what that person looks like. There's a temporary recast or whatever. But when you get me a brown-skinned woman who's damn near chocolate, then her recast is lighter than fucking my mouse, but he gave her curly hair. I was like, that is insulting. And most insulting thing for me was when Taggart, my friend Rial Andrews, who's light-skinned, big brother, whatever, his recast looked, like nothing like him. And I got flack because I got an attitude with the Marshall guy. When he was recast, Marshall with that pork pie hat or whatever he wears, and then they recast him with somebody who had like a white mustache and all. I'm like, what? I'm like, you didn't even try. You just say, oh, he's Black. We'll just get him to do it. That's how it felt to me. I was like, I don't understand what's going on. That's like recasting me with like, I'm like, who's light skinned? Like, oh, or somebody super dark. Me and Don Cheadle or something. It's just kind of like, at least try. Because even this chick that's on playing Harmony, who's a temporary recast, she looks close to the other chick that played Harmony, and they're white. It's crazy. It's just like, it's crazy. And people were yelling at me like, well, Jerry, I'm like, no, like, you don't understand. And people tried on that show, try to bring up Sam. And I was like, Lindsay Hartley is a small white girl. Sam McCall, who played by Kelly Monaco, is a small white girl. Dark hair. And you know, I love me some Lindsay Hartley. That's my girl. And I met her in real life. She's really nice. But people jumped on me like, well, she don't look like Sam. She looked close enough. She's a small white girl with blonde with brunette hair. That's at least closer. I stand by all that. Whatever I say, I stand by on that one. It's just, I'm like, just where's the thought? Just a thought. Or it's just like, we need to find somebody. Here's some headshots. We'll just grab him. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I'm just saying it's just kind of like now. Like I said, back to interracial. The Sabrina fans who are just all over the place, of course. They do have something. So we have a guy who's Hispanic in real life. But see, here we go. Alexander Nicholas Chavez is not playing Hispanic on the show. Spencer is Russian, Greek, and white on the show. He's totally not playing. People's like, well, he's Hispanic. Well, on the show, he's not playing that. And actually, he does look Hispanic to me, which is very interesting to me. He does look Hispanic, which is very interesting. He looks Hispanic, but he's not playing Hispanic. Yeah, the chick who plays Harmony looks like she's indigenous. Look, she has indigenous, and I love it. Her look, she's beautiful in that, and just beautiful way of just like she's like glamorous to me. I don't care for the character, but I think the actress is beautiful. Hey, that Monica did okay. I'm sorry, that Monica did her job. But again, she's a white woman with a certain hairdo. And see, I'll forgive height and stuff because this new Jordan, totally tall. She's really tall. She's next to Portia. Portia's like, but see, I'll take that though, because they brought her back to brown skin. They actually brought her back to the original Jordan. That's Antoine. They look more related. Then we got on Young and the Restless. We have Elena, who's barely in the storyline. The beautiful Brittany Sarby, who can act and who can do everything. And my friend, who's barely in the storyline. We have Moses, with a white girl. That's fine. They're cute together. They're cute. But he ain't around that much either. You have Imani, who's a beautiful Black woman, barely on. We got Amanda. She's doing good. We got Amanda and Devon. Those are like the two, lead Blacks. The other ones, and again, I know there's lead actors, there's supporting, and then there's reoccurring. I get it. But again, it's not even. That's just the point. And us as soap fans, and I do it for a living, I talk about these soaps for a living, and many of them are my friends. The thing is, I'm like, well, where can we see representation? And we have a right to say something. But it's just that they really don't care. They're live. They're writing, but again, then the writer side of me, I don't care what the stories. Like, I'm a writer myself, so I'm like, you write what you write. If you think that's what's best, you write it. I'm more about casting and what is that, and decor and sets. And I already told you guys the story once before. When Christophe St. John, may rest in peace, got an office, he told me that was a major milestone. Anybody who gets a set on the show is a major milestone, no matter what race you are. You get a set on the show, it's big. But he got a set, and he was a Black man in a Black business in his own office. That's a big deal. We haven't seen an office with a Black person in it in how long? We see Victoria's office all the time. We see Adam's office. Oh, he didn't even do anything. And you see Adam's office. Now, again, I like those characters. No shade to them. But we haven't seen Amanda and Amani in office. Elena works. She does something. And that's what it is, James. They don't have to care. There's no impact. I say pocketbook too, but I think I'm old when I say that. But that's exactly what it is. Their wallet isn't affected. It is. Now, Devon has a business, yes. He still has one, yes. I think GH is decent. I wouldn't say good representation. I think they're decent representation. I think it's decent. Yuri Henry did fine. Yes, she was fine. I think to do a decent job, I think they could do a lot better. Now I know. Now I also want to say this. For the last 2 years, I have to say, because I'm from Los Angeles and I know what goes on here, there was COVID that affected a lot of people who couldn't make it, not make it, make it, who didn't live in other places. And LA was shut down half the time. So I totally get it. Also, there are folks who have other projects. That's the problem too. Some folks are working for Tyler Perry. They're over there too. Well, I know I'm saying, James always say pocketbook and they always make fun of me. I'm like, where's the fax machine? Okay, I don't care. I say pocketbook. I say pocketbook all the time. They make fun of me. Because to me, Sean, okay, let's talk about Jocelyn for a second. Sean could have stayed on the show. He got all this money. He was rich. His whole thing. He played second fiddle to Nancy Legrand's character, Alexis. Think about it for a second. He literally played second fiddle to her. He got turned down by her so they can make her a fucking lesbian at some point with Harmony. That's my prediction. But Sean is a great character with chemistry with half people on the show, and you bring on Jordan. I could write a whole season of story for Sean. There's like 10 directions I could easily go with Sean. But nope. Bye. See you later. I'm leaving the show. I'm going to San Francisco. What? You built all this up and that's it? So no. I don't know if he got a new job or not. But my thing is, even if they had to recast the character with somebody else, this character has a lot of. You see, here's the thing: on plays, movies, other things, actors get recast all the time. You know what I mean? They get recast all the time. But it happens. Well, that's the thing. Tyler Perry, Shonda Rhimes, all those folks, they're all soap operas. All of them. But they don't say soap opera. See, then you got that whole story. They're Black dramas. The haves and have-nots, the Oval, Sisters. I mean, Tyler Perry is cranking them out. For OWN and BET and all that, he is cranking them out. But they don't say soap opera. That's a dirty word. Sean is a leading man. Going back to GH. Sean has leading man status. It's only like, we'll let Curtis be leading man, and that's it. We'll let one Black person, and that's it. Was it actually said it was his choice? But again, that's fine. The character could still stay on the show. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that, okay, go, have a good time. But that there's still a role that's still very much, they recast other roles all the time, white roles all the time, keep it moving. Cardi's been recast, 4 times? You know what I mean? That's kind of the point, right? That's the point. The actor Sean the character of Sean, his real name is Sean in real life too, is Sean Blakemore. That character could stay. There's plenty. I can name about 10 different Black men who probably could do his job. I'm sure there's a Black actor somewhere out there who wants to do a job. I'm sure. I know so many actors who are Black trying to get jobs who could do a fine job on a soap opera. Exactly. They recast Trina. They didn't say bye, Trina. See you later. They recast it. That's just what you do on soaps. Tyler Perry. Here's the thing about Tyler Perry. I don't like his stuff. I don't watch it. I have friends who are on some of his shows, so good for him. He employs Black folks. Yes, he does. He employs Black folks near and far, old and young, big and small. He completely supports the Black acting community. You can say whatever you want to about his movies and his stuff, but he does. He employs so many Black folks. Since you want to about Shonda Rhimes, she has a universe, a multiracial universe. All her shows have it. She hires Black folks. She hires Hispanic. She hires white. She hires everybody. I'm just saying, you say what you, I mean, I was a Scandal fan. That's the only thing I don't watch some Grey's Anatomy, that kind of stuff. I was a Scandal fan. I didn't watch some How to Get Away with Murder. I watched some. But, you know, there's James, I'm not talking about that. You can say what, as I said, say what you want to about any of that stuff. Doesn't matter. He has an audience. There are Black folks who like him. They like his work. There are folks like Shonda's work. They like him. There are folks who think soap operas are trash and would never watch a soap opera. The acting's horrible. Oh my God. There's a lot of stuff. But like they're all, I'm saying, to me, I don't watch half the shit, but on some level, I admire that they're employing people, these writing roles and employing people. And so to me, that gets a pass on some level for me. I will give it a pass. I will. You can't have one without the other, though. I don't understand. Please explain what that. I don't know what that means. I was following. I don't understand. Please explain what you mean. I don't understand what you mean. I'm going by your last message. Workers, but I can't understand what you mean. So let me know what you mean. Clarify what you mean. But that's the point. Is that, but see, people drive what we're watching. If no one watched Tyler Perry stuff, if no one went to his movies, it wouldn't be around anymore. Maybe he would change what he writes. Maybe he would evolve and do other things. But the show's a hit. Those Housewives, I haven't watched a Housewives season in like 5 years. But those shows continue and continue and continue. You're like, all these rich bitches are fighting for what? You called me this at the party. I'm like, really? And I know for a fact, I'm in Hollywood, it's all produced. But that's the portrayal. The Real Housewives of Atlanta is crazy. I disagree with you, James. I think you can have two independent thoughts about the same thing in some cases. There are a few cases you can't. But I mean, there's some things that are very extreme, you can't. But no, I disagree with you. And that's fine, we can disagree. I'm just saying, I mean, it's subjective. You don't like what he does. I don't either. But I don't care for his best either. But that's subjective. There are folks who think it's wonderful. There might be folks who don't like my work. Probably don't fucking like me. And there are folks who love me. That's their right to. They end up by folks say, "Oh, I hate James Lott Jr. He's fucking loud and he just speaks his mind all the time. And who does he think he is?" That's fine. You have a right to change the channel and not watch me. But I think you can't have both. And exactly, James, the Housewives employee, it's the same thing. Bugs the crap out of me, and folks are watching it. See, to me, I will support Black folks. Tyler Perry's not bringing down society or anything. He's not doing anything that's detrimental to society, not like that. But I will support him in his efforts of trying to employ Black folks in his thing. And again, you're a writer, I'm a writer. I want anybody to tell me what to write. I will still write whatever I want. I'll write whatever the fuck I want. You're not gonna tell me what to write. Don't buy my books. Don't listen to my audio dramas. That's how I look at it as the people, not you out there. I'm just saying people. You have a right to go, change this shit. I don't care for his show, Mr. Toro. That's tired concept. I'm loud. I am loud. Shit, I'm loud. I'm loud. I am loud. I got a big mouth. I got a deep voice. I am loud. Because in society, they don't want Black people to be loud. They want us to be quiet, take whatever's just given to us, and not say a word. I am almost 53 years old, and I have earned the right to be loud and speak my mind. And I know what comes with that also. At the same time, I know there are folks who will not want that and will repel from it or gravitate towards it. It's funny because I was never a Amanda Seales fan on the Real. I'm a big fan. If you don't know who she is, go on Instagram. I love her. I love her now. She speaks out on Black stuff all the time. I love it. There are folks who were complaining about Issa Rae and I was like, I love that she shows Inglewood, where I'm from, and South Los Angeles in a certain way. Again, you have to agree with everything they write. I hate that this last season sucked of Insecure. I'm not a big fan of the last. I hate the ending and everything. But the 4 seasons before that, I loved it. There's a show called All Rise. I loved it. He says, yeah, right. I know, right. All Rise is now going to OWN, I believe, or is it BET? I remember it was going to. I love that show. I'm so glad that the CBS dropped it after 2 seasons. It was a great show, multiracial, everything, Black leads, Asian leads. So like it was completely. Well, that's that. Like I said, Shonda, my friend Allison Faust, who's with The Neighborhood. I know folks who hate that show. I think it's cute. I like it. I think it's found its niche. There are folks who hate Kenya Barris. They hate Blackish. I liked Blackish. I like every single episode. I didn't like every single episode of Blackish or every season of Blackish, but I like Blackish. I like what it tried to do. I hated the title when I first heard it. I was like, Blackish? What the F? Oh, I hated that title. But I've enjoyed the show. Again, Kenya Barris from Inglewood, where I'm from. There are folks who didn't like Boys in the Hood. They didn't like the Wood. They didn't like a lot of Black cinema that was coming out. And other folks who loved it. It's too ghetto. It's too this. It's not this enough. The problem is because it's not equal. We don't have equity. It's not equal. When we get something, it's hard because you're like, okay, we got it, but it's not exactly the portrayal I want. So that's almost kind of what James was kind of saying earlier in the chat. I kind of going that's so I understand that dichotomy. I totally get that. I totally get that. Because you're like, well, okay, we get some Black on TV. Because Byron Allen, who's one of my idols, media idols, he has these late night shows, and half of them are not the greatest. But he employs Black people. He employs comedians. You know, he bought the Weather Channel. Like he's like the richest like Black man or whatever. I mean, like so there is. You know, so again, I think you can have 2 thoughts. I think when it comes to stuff like this, like you can say, okay, well, you know, I don't care for his stuff. Yeah, I don't care for his stuff, but he's employing Black people. Oh yeah. And that's Jay. I'm not even here to argue. That's fine. I don't like his product, so I'm like I'm not even like fighting you on it. I'm like, I totally get what you're saying. But I stand by my statement that I can admire him doing that, but also not like his product. So I completely agree with you. I don't care if I think I liked 1 or 2 of his things ever, and that was it. You know, but folks are going to see it. You know, so if folks don't go to see it and don't watch it, and don't tune in, somebody just likes it. Then you got the power shows, Power Book 2 and 3 and 4 and all that. That's all drug stuff. How is that great? Now, I enjoyed Power. I watched the original series. I'm watching the spinoffs that are out right now. Now we're venturing outside of daytime, but just again, Black portrayals. Again, thank you, Sheree. I appreciate that. But again, there's that. There's all the Power was all about all this stuff. It's centered around all these things. You know, I mean, that's just kind of how that is. And then you have like I love The Wire. To me, it's one of the greatest shows of all time. Love The Wire. Love it. You know, I mean, I think it's a wonderful show. And it shows Baltimore in a certain light that a lot of my friends who live in Baltimore say it's true. I have a lot of friends who were on The Wire. It was a wonderful show. You know, it's you know, but now for some people are like, I don't want to watch that. I loved Empire. I was a huge Empire fan. But again, I had friends who didn't like it. That was too hood in parts. To me, it was Dallas for Black folks. I love Dallas. I love J.R. Ewing. That was my show. But that's kind of like that's you know, but I know folks who hated it. That Cookie line was just too this. Cookie was my girl. Cookie was my spirit animal. I was all about Cookie. But her and Lucius, I thought there was a chemistry between the actors. There was a whole thing. We won't get into the whole Jussie Smollett stuff. Yes, Abbott Elementary. Love that show. They're showing Philly. So I say, but I think what we all can agree on it here, and I think everybody in here who's of color can agree with me, is that it's hard when we don't have equity. When it's mostly this, then we get a green lit black show, and it's not for everyone. That's the problem. Because Black folks are not a monolith. We don't all just like the same thing. You know, back when we had UPN and WB, there were so many shows I did not watch, but there were shows I did watch. And when they merged, you know, later, I loved Girlfriends and The Game and all those. There were some good shows that were Black families and Black, you know, there was the Parker. There's a whole thing. Exactly. I have Black friends who never grew up in the hood. They have no clue what that's like. And but folks got upset because the Cosby Show doesn't represent me. A doctor and a lawyer. I knew many middle class Black folks here in Los Angeles who had money back in the 70s and 80s, living here in Ladera Heights, which is a Black neighborhood here, upscale Black neighborhood. Baldwin Hills, which is called the Black Beverly Hills. It's like, to me, it's like there just wasn't. No one talked about it. No one talked about that there are Black folks who did get money at some point and were actually moving up. They didn't talk about that because we kept getting Good Times and all these other shows that they kept keeping us at this level. It's like, no, there are Black folks who were actually making. Jefferson was the first to show us that there are. George Jefferson, if you look at his character now, you look back on it now, his character was so groundbreaking because he was Black. He was blackety black, but he was also rich. And he didn't apologize for being Black and rich. Now take that and chew on that for a while. He didn't. George Jefferson was proud that he made it, and he didn't give a shit. He did not give a shit. He was like, I am rich bitches and take that. And that was something we didn't see in Black folks. We just didn't see that. And James, I will agree with you. Girlfriends needs an ending. That show, again, I do the Girlfriends after show here on JLJ Media. So trust me, I know. That show is an underrated gem. So I agree with that. I grew up on both sides of the coast. So Los Angeles and New York. But there were shows back then. There was a variety of Black shows. Some not the greatest, some good. Sorry, folks, I'm not a Martin fan. I know folks love that nostalgia for Martin. I wasn't a Moesha fan either, the Parkers. I wasn't into those. I liked Half and Half. I liked Girlfriends. I liked Moesha. Moesha was good sometimes. I mean, I just wasn't really into that type of comedy. Yeah, you mentioned New York Undercover. I didn't watch that, but I know of it. I know of the show. I didn't watch it. It's when we get a show on the air, which is okay. So number one, getting shows on the air was a hard thing. Also, it's not easy. Man, so I don't make it sound like we'll just get shows on the air now. That's not easy, especially if it's network. Now we got streaming. Rather, you can do things on you can make your own network now at this point. So there's things you can do there, but it's not easy to get a show produced. Folks love Martin, James. They love Martin. Folks love that show. I just couldn't do it. It was not one of mine. And yes, what's his name? Oh my God, Kelsey Grammer produced Girlfriends. Any Day was a great show. I think it's Any Day Now was it called. It's a great show. That was a good one. Yes, George was a flawed character. That's exactly. But to me, that's not even the point. My point was that he was Black and rich and didn't take shit from nobody. And we didn't have that kind of programming at the time. Just didn't. It just was not part of it. It is. It's hard. No, that part for any race or anybody is not easy getting content out there. That's just number one. It's just not easy. There's so many obstacles and folks who just yeah. Oh yeah, it's Detroit. Okay, there you go, James Roby, Detroit. That's right. Yeah, Kelsey Grammer produced Girlfriends. He made it. He showed up on an episode on Thanksgiving. He meets Joan. So one episode, he just show up on it. But it's GramNet. That was his thing. And the game was actually a spinoff of Girlfriends, if you didn't remember that. But the game got really popular when it went on BET and all that kind of stuff. You know, see, for me, we gotta go all the way back to, you know, In Living Color, even parts of Mad TV, where they had a lot of Black folks on there too, and Asian on there. I'm a huge Robert Townsend fan. I'm a super fan of Robert Townsend. Hollywood Shuffle to me is one of the greatest movies every Black person needs to see. Any Black person, whether you're in the business or not, needs to see Hollywood Shuffle. One of the best just produced films of what is actually Black in Hollywood. It's genius. It's genius. He's gone on to obviously produce other stuff. I'm just telling you, let's go back to late 80s, early 90s. And he did a parody called The Bold, the Black, the Beautiful. So that's a soap opera on there too. It was really funny. There's shows like What's Happening? Remember What's Happening? That was another one. Living Single, that's another one. They all got flack. What's Happening got flack because it was set in Watts. I'm over here. I'm over at Watts, is just that direction. And they never addressed the gang stuff. They say they never wanted to. I love the show. And to me, here's the funny. When I was a kid, I had friends who were like, I don't watch Good Times because I live good times. And I used to always laugh about that. So shows like What's Happening, and ones that just didn't give us a fantasy land of Watts in South LA. It was a reprieve. They were still Black, but it was a reprieve. We didn't need the gang violence because most of us were living it every day outside our windows. In the 70s and 80s and early 90s, it was a war zone here in Los Angeles. I was here. It was a war zone, you know. And I go back to my childhood, watching Sesame Street, which was very New York. We saw Puerto Ricans, we saw Black folks, we saw white all mixed together. Electric Company, we had Rita Moreno and Morgan Freeman, Easy Reader. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Zoom, all those still kids. I saw mixed stuff on that. I saw on that. It was great. Then somehow that went away. You know, maybe years later, we got Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton. And let's not even begin to talk about space, the final frontier, and how those worlds should look in the future. Some shows did okay. Star Trek Next Generation film, they did okay. But some shows, you're like, there are no Black folks in the future. There's no Asians in the future. There are all the Asians in the world right now. There's no Asians in the future. Like some shows, you're like, okay, that's a little far-fetched. But I come from a time in my personal life when I was going for jobs, there were times I didn't get promotions because they said, and I used to work like retail and like front of house jobs. I would get told, well, if we gave you the promotion and a title, it would change the look of our restaurant or change the look of our store. And I was like, change the look of the store? I'm here every day anyway. But oh no, it's a Black restaurant once I become the lead manager, becomes an urban Black store when I become the store manager. I had that happen to me so many times in the 80s and 90s that I couldn't fight it. I mean, I quit a couple of jobs over it, but I mean, like, it was like there was no laws in place that said anything that just could fight it. And they say it to my face and say it so nicely. I just, well, no, James, you understand. We'll give you the money and we'll give you the raise and the hours you want, but we just can't give you the title. The reason why I'm sitting here in front of you today, ranting and raving about race, because my last job, I was told by some white women who are my bosses, they could treat me and talk to me however they want to because I'm lucky I have a job in this economy. That's exactly what they said to me. They said, you're lucky to have a job in this economy. And this was 2008 during the recession. And I said, slavery is over a long time ago. And no, I don't. And I gave notice end of day that day. And that led me to coming here to Hollywood and changing my life 13 years ago. Now I was their star employee for 10 years. And that was the things I got. So, and after I left, they talked shit about me and trying to blame stuff for me stuff. But I had left my, I was like, you can do whatever you want. If you want to think all this stuff, you're making up stuff to make yourself feel better. Because I was a star employee. And now, 13 years later, I work back at that job, so to speak, at different capacity now. Now I produce podcasts. And what's so funny is those folks are not there anymore. What goes around comes around, kids. Karma's a bitch, and so am I. But I had to put up with a lot of stuff because I had no recourse. But I did fight. I also protested and fought and did a lot of stuff and try to change within the systems I worked in. There were so many jobs where I was the only Black this, the first Black that, the only person of color this department. I mean, I was that so many times in those 80s and 90s. Pretty much, all the time, completely. And I had to act a certain way and be a certain way, you know, and they call it code switching now, but it's like there are certain things I had to do and suppress so I can keep my job. Because I had kids. I had kids. I was living in, at some points I was living in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the country. And I wanted to live there. Even though I was being told there too, you want to see Black folks, go to Oakland. Why don't you live in Oakland, James? As I watched them close up sections of San Francisco and drive the Black folks out. I watched it happen. I was there 16 years, watched it happen. I was like the last Black man standing. So I was like, I'm done now too, bye, I'm gone. It's the truth. It's kind of great. I live here in Inglewood where it's getting gentrified down here too. I see my white neighbors and Indian neighbors and Chinese neighbors walking through here, buying up all the houses. Oh yeah, it's happening all the time. So that's why I come on here. And that's why I talk about these subjects, because I think they're not easy subjects. They're sometimes difficult to talk about. They're uncomfortable sometimes. And there are folks who are afraid to say something because for their career. And again, if I get in trouble for anything that I say on any of these shows, I'll walk away. I will easily walk away because I feel as a Black person, as a brown person, person of color, I don't have the luxury to not speak up or speak out. To me, that's serious. There's no joke. I feel like I have to say something every once in a while and get out there and have it and open the discussions. That's what I feel like I don't have the luxury of not doing that. And I support all my friends, no matter what race they are. You're doing good work. I am supporting you. They all know this, and I support their stuff, my things. My friend James Robbie is in here. I support his work. Kirsten Reese on one of my shows. I support her. I support everyone, but I will also support and lift up and spotlight people of color, LGBTQIA+ community, disabled, hearing impaired, sight impaired. I will always have spaces for you. Whether it's discussions, being on my show, and my track record speaks for itself. This is my channel. I have over 1,000 videos on here. Go ahead and take a look. And you'll see for the last 7 years, I've always showcased people and had the discussions. I have a friend running for mayor. His name is Seneca Scott. Check him out, senecascott.com. Check him out. Running for mayor of Oakland. And he really believes in changing Oakland. That's the point. It's like that's what I'm supposed to do. As one of the elders of the group, my job is to lift up the village. And that's kind of what we do. So on these shows, I use discussions, and I appreciate every person who came in here and commented and said something and shared something. because I'm having a little drink at the same time. I know. I said I was running. But the point is, I'm trying to get conversations going, and maybe change can happen. Sometimes it is conversation. But again, if I get in trouble for anything I say, I will leave this business. Life will go on. I'm like, I'm not going to dictate my life, because if we don't say anything, nothing will happen. The needle will not move. And we need good writers of all races, and musicians of all races, and producers. And that's why I own my own network. I'm in charge. It's my network. No one's in charge of me. We need more, like I said, in the boardroom. We need more people behind the scenes. We need to hire, Black boom operators, and Black cameramen, and Black stuntmen, and I mean just and brown stuntmen, and Asian stuntmen, and Asian, like, come on, folks, we got to they should be good. If they're good at the job, it should not matter what race they are. That's all that matters. And now I've been on let's see how long I've been on, folks. You see my voice is going away. Let's see how long I've been on. I don't know how long I've been on. I've been on for 76 minutes, kids. So James Lott Jr., make it look like an accident. I like that. Yeah, reading your book, James. I'm scared now. I can believe that. It's like going from babysitting. Sorry, Cash back. I'm getting off now because I've been on for 76 minutes. My voice is going out. I have 3 shows tomorrow morning. All soaps, YNR at 10, Bold and Beautiful at 11, and GH at 1, all Pacific Standard Time. It's all tomorrow here on JLJ Media. I love you guys. I mean, thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate that. 25 people watching, conversing with us. Yes, Cash, you came in early. I know you were doing babysitting, but you could have contributed to the conversation. I'm about to call you. I'm fine, girl. I'm going to rest my voice now. And maybe watch some Black TV. No, I don't want to watch something. Thank you everybody for coming on. Daytime Today. You guys have made this show a huge hit for me on this network, and I just can't. And Candace will be on one day. She'll be on. We're gonna get her on here. I'm just shocked how big this show is on this network, and I truly do appreciate it. You have many choices of watching things. You don't have to watch my face, but you do. I love it. Everybody have a good evening. Happy spring. Tomorrow is spring.